Hello, my name is Ashley Gomez. I'm a senior at Ramapo College of New Jersey, where I'm majoring in law and society and double minoring in human rights and genocide and civic and community leadership. The video you're watching is a part of a virtual film festival produced as a final project in Dr. Lobenz's course, Holocaust and Media. I would like to thank the Gross Center for Holocaust and Genocide Studies for sponsoring this program. So the film I will be presenting today is The Reader, directed by Stephen Daldry, which was released on December 12th, 2008 in the United States. So the film was initially a book, and Miramax Films acquired the rights to the novel The Reader in order to proceed with the film adaptation. So The Reader was set in Germany, and a large part of the filming took place in Germany as well as Poland and Czech Republic. And the film stars big names like Kate Winslet, David Cross, Ralph Fiennes, Jeanette Haynes, alongside many other amazing actors. So feel free to watch the trailer that will be linked on our website or search Stephen Daldry's The Reader online. So the film explores various themes. Just to name a few, it explores themes of romance, guilt, secrecy, responsibility, and generational conflict is a big emphasis on the film. So key components of the film emphasize on finding out who contributed to the atrocities of the Holocaust. And main characters Hannah and Michael are the center of the film as they explore a intimate relationship throughout the film. So Michael and Hannah's family, so the generations before these main characters, were in one way or another complicit and contributed to the atrocities of the Holocaust, whether they were directly implicated in conducting the mass killings or whether they were bystanders, they contributed to these killings, whether that was directly or due to their inaction in the Holocaust. And throughout the film, we're able to see the weight that Michael feels on his shoulders through all the implications of his family, his parents, and his grandparents. And we see how he evolves and lives with that. And the main characters suffer from keeping many of the aspects of their lives a secret as they try to navigate through their lives in post-war Germany. So we're able to see the implications of their lives, secrecy, how they feel about the Holocaust, how they feel about the implications of their parents, and the weight that they feel and the guilt that they might even feel responsible because their families had something to do with these atrocities. So many questions are being raised throughout the film on the matter of complicity and how Michael and Hannah, and particularly Michael, feel that they're associated directly or indirectly to the Holocaust because of what their parents did. And a big part of the film shows Hannah through the eyes of Michael. And I think that this plays a very prominent role in the way that we see Hannah throughout the film. And I often wonder how that would have shifted perspectives of the film had we just seen it directly through being filmed just towards Hannah. But we're able to see this shift and a different perspective through Michael's eyes throughout the film. And I think that this movie is very relatable, not directly towards the Holocaust and its implications, but in the matter that it examines human nature. It sets the implications of what would we have done? We look at the atrocities of the Holocaust through someone who is complicit to these mass killings, this someone being Hannah, yet one can't help but think, were they simply being complicit because of the regime at the time? And they felt like they needed to feel one way or another towards Jews and other minority populations, or were they just awful people? And it's not a simple answer. I think it's a very gray area, as Hannah shows that she just followed orders and she assumes and states that she didn't realize the extent of what she did was wrong. And I think that watching the film, I thought, there's no way that she does not think that what she did was wrong. Like, that has to be a major lie. And I start to think to myself, as humans, how would you not know that killing and being complicit to killings is wrong. But many Germans and Nazis were manipulated and essentially trained to think this way, and especially the perception that they had of Jews at the time, that they didn't even deem them as humans. So you start to see these implications and think how she might have felt in thinking that, oh, I'm not doing anything wrong. Like this was something that was normal throughout society for basically all of Germany at the time. So this was something that was deemed normal and was not something that was frowned upon. So throughout the film, there is much concealment of Michael and Hannah's relationship, as well as Hannah's secret to her Nazi affiliations. And this goes to show whether small or large of an impact, there are things that we as humans do that we might think, this was not my proudest moment. Although not comparable at all, Hannah concealed her Nazi affiliations because I believe unconsciously or subconsciously she knew it was wrong. Because why keep a secret if you don't feel any sort of guilt or any type of negative feel about it? So there must have been some sort of implication that held her in keeping that concealed. So I feel like this film differs from many other films because we see the implications of the Holocaust through the lens of the generation of Germans after the tragedies. And it takes on a distinct approach from a woman on the other side, per se. So the perpetrator is now being persecuted. However, in this case, it perpetuates the woman as a victim, which is very rare and unlikely in Holocaust films. So it takes on a very distinct approach. And the film raises many questions. One almost, for a better choice of words, begins to empathize with Hannah's character. I, on the other hand, did not, but I can see how viewers may perceive it this way. Hannah appears naive about her actions and showcases genuine confusion. You're able to see that portrayal throughout the film. And there's this sexual objectification of her character with this notion that she's a woman and playing a role in the Holocaust assumes the notion that, oh, she's only a woman, she didn't know any better. And there's this common misconception, especially in the 20th century, if a woman did something wrong, oh, she simply just didn't know any better. But regardless of her sex, she's a conscious and rational being because she has that autonomy to make her own decisions. She chose to abide by the Nazi regime and what they believed in. And she did not have to participate in these actions. You see throughout the film, and we end up finding out that Hannah is illiterate, and this may have contributed to her participation in being an SS officer, but none of this was forced upon her. She was not forced to take on the role. So this is something that she decided by her own measures and knew the implications of what it meant to be a Nazi officer and what would have to be done in taking on that role. And in providing a brief synopsis, the reader is a dramatization of post World War II Germany. You see my main character, Michael Berg, who meets Hannah Schmitz, and they spark a passionate and intimate relationship. And Hannah abruptly then ends up moving without telling Michael, and years pass, and years later, they meet again while Michael is a law student. And this is where he discovers that Hannah is on trial for Nazi war crimes, as she was one of 6 female SS officers in the concentration camps, and they were guards in these camps. So the film portrays their relationship while emphasizing on the testimonies and accounts of the trial. So Hannah eventually admits to her involvement in the extermination camps and provides that testimony of what she did in Auschwitz and confesses to over 300 church killings in particular. So eventually she is convicted and receives a life sentence. Michael then just continues his life and forms few relationships. And eventually we see this developing arc of Hannah's life where before her sentencing, she never thought of the implications of the killings and what she had done in Auschwitz. It was something that was deemed normal to her. But then after being convicted, this was something that she perpetually thought about constantly and over again. And eventually This leads to her demise and her decline in her mental health, and unfortunately, she dies by committing suicide. Eventually, Michael continues to rebuild his life, and he ends up telling the stories of Hannah and the impacts of Hannah to his family. So, as you watch the film, consider the implications of the crimes in the matter of reconciliation. Do you think that Hannah has paid for her crimes after being convicted and given a life sentence? Or is prison and eventually suicide not enough? And if that's the case, what would be? The film sets a different perspective, and I think it's very ironic to see the persecution of Germans in the film, as most Holocaust films focus on the persecution of the Jews. Seeing the persecution and the prosecution of a woman and her implications in Holocaust killings dismisses the misconception that men were the only ones that played a role in the Holocaust. So it's very interesting to see that role through a different lens. So that's about it. I hope you take some time to watch the film and consider the insights that I have provided for you. And if you end up watching the film, I hope you enjoy it. And if you don't end up watching the film, consider it. I hope this video provided some insights regarding the Holocaust. So thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day.